Hey guys, Matt Marzillo here. In this video, we're going to be going over a tool in Microsoft Word called Mail Merge. And Mail Merge helps you when you're preparing a template document like a letter or addresses for envelopes or labels. And you essentially have a list of different information that you have to plop into the document. And you'd rather not go through the monotonous task of having to type all of it in over and over again, right? So let's say you had a list of addresses you had to type in. You don't want to type that in 100 times. So Microsoft Word has created this tool that allows for you to populate that sort of list of information that you need to pull in. So in this example, we're going to be going over a letter, right? So we're pretending that we work for a non-for-profit organization that is requesting additional donations from donors from previous years. So you can see I have a very generic looking letter set up here where I have my address block, Matt Marzillo, 624 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago. And I have a spot here where I'm going to put recipient address block. So I have a list of recipients that I'm sending this to. And rather than having to create a bunch of letters and typing in their address information, I'm going to use Mail Merge to populate that automatically. I'm also going to populate their name here. And also, we're going to make this a little more personal. We're going to address exactly how much they donated last year and how much we're asking from them for this upcoming year. We're asking for 10% more. We want to kind of cover our costs a little bit better. So as with most things in Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel, the key here is in making sure you have everything set up appropriately, right? So we have a good template letter here. It's a little generic, probably a little light, a little thin, but it works. It's set up the appropriate way. You also want to make sure you have an Excel document that's set up appropriately as well. You have a list of records here with good, consistent column headers in the first row that explain what's in those fields beneath it. So we have last name up here. Last name, first name, street address, city, state, zip, last year's donation, and the hoped for donation, right? We're trying to make that a little bit personal. And you can see what I did here too is I essentially added 10% to last year's donation. We're trying to get 10% more from everybody. So yeah, that looks good, right? So we want to make sure you create that list and you save it down, give it a name that you know what it is, and you save it down on your desktop or in a file where you know you could find it. You can also use, Microsoft has another application called Access that's more for database management. You can use an Access file and reference that instead of an Excel spreadsheet. But in this example, we're just going to use Excel. In my past experiences, I've always used Excel for this, for the mail merges. So, just stick with kind of you start with Word, and then you tap into an Excel list from there. So, okay, let's go ahead. Let's get back to Word, and let's get started with the example. So, like I said, we have this letter that we've already opened up. You go to Mailings up here at the top, and you go to Start Mail Merge. Now, you have the option here of the step-by-step Mail Merge wizard. That's what we're going to do. But you also can click on the type of document you're working with, whether it's a letter, an email letter, or envelopes or labels. You can just click on one of these options, and it just kind of gets you right into the Mail Merge, and you can kind of work on your own in terms of how you want to do it. The Mail Merge wizard does a really good job of kind of stepping you through the process in a logical order. So if this is one of your first times doing it, or if you do a mail merge not very often, I would always recommend using the wizard. It makes it a little bit more intuitive. But if you do use it a lot, you'll probably find yourself just going up to the letters and kind of just working with it from there. Pretty much the same thing. You just have a little bit more flexibility when you click on the letters or labels or envelopes directly. You have a little more flexibility to kind of work in whatever order you want to. But for this example, we're going to use the wizard. So click on wizard. And you have this toolbar that pops up to the right side. First thing you want to do is select what kind of document you're working with. We have a letter. We're going to go next, start document. And then it asks you, do you want to use the current document? Do you want to pick from a template? We know how to do that. Do you want to start a brand new document? We want to use our current document. Click next. Go to step 3. So we're making our way through here. Okay, now here's the key. This is where you bring in the list that you already set up, right? So you're going to go, you make sure you have use an existing list selected. And then you're going to go down here and click on Browse. So you're going to go and look for it on your desktop or on whatever folder you're using. So I have it saved to my desktop in a folder. Let's find that. Here we go. Mail merge list. That's one we set up, right? Yep. So let's go ahead and click on Open. It's saying, ask me what sheet, right? Because Excel is comprised of different sheets. Sheet 1 that we're going to use. Make sure you have first row of data contains column headers. Make sure that's clicked, because that's the way we have it set up. Click OK. Okay, great. Now it's giving me a nice little kind of preview of what the data looks like that I have in that list. And this looks just like what we just looked at in the Excel spreadsheet, right? It's a list of names and addresses and their past donations with what we expect from them next year. One important thing here is that if you have somebody that you don't want to create a letter for, or you just have a record you don't want to use, you can unclick them here, right? So say we know Tony Hernandez has been getting frustrated that we've been sending him a lot of requests for additional money, and he might this might do more harm than good if we send it to him. He might just kind of stop donating completely. So let's not send it to him. We have that option. But in this example, let's just send it to everybody. You also kind of, if you have several hundred different records you're working with, you can also sort and filter if you're trying to find someone specific. But this looks good. Let's click OK. And we're going to go on to step 4. Next step, write your letter. So our letter is already written, and we have 4 different places where we're going to be pulling in from that Excel list. The first one is this address block for the recipient right here. So let's go ahead and delete that word. And right in that space here where I have the cursor, I'm going to insert an address block. So you go to the right here and click address block. And this is really cool because Microsoft is smart enough to recognize what headers go where when you're creating an address block, right? So remember when I said it was important to make sure you have good headers, last name, first name, street address, city, state, zip. Because we had good headers, Microsoft was smart enough to go ahead and pull in an address block that looks perfect, right? I mean, this is our list of people that we have in Excel, and Microsoft has automatically created address blocks for all of them. So you have Mike Smith, Leslie Bryant, Josephine, Stuart, Tony, Stan, so on and so forth. Now, if you didn't listen to me and you have bad headers, that's not the end of the world. You just go down here to correct problems. You click on match fields. And on these drop downs, you can pick from the different column headers in your Excel list, right? So the address block is set up like this on the left. And it's connecting certain fields from mail merge to the fields from your Excel spreadsheet. And if you don't have sensical headers, you can fix it right here. So it's a really nice way to kind of, a nice little backup plan if you don't have the Excel file set up in the right way. But our file looks good. So, like for instance, if you had your column header for the last names really said first name, well, you'd want to fix this and kind of flip it around. But usually if you have it set up the correct way, this shouldn't be an issue. So we're going to click OK. You also have different ways of displaying people's names. If you want to go with, just the first name, or if you want to use a middle initial, if you have that in there. I typically just go with the default. Just go with the full name, first, last. And that's what we're going to do here. So you click OK. And you can see Mail Merge inserts this little indicator here with the chevrons that says address block, so that when we finish up here, they're going to automatically dump an address block right here. Okay, so next let's move down to the greeting. We have Dear Blank, so we're going to go over to the right and click on Greeting Line. Okay, again, really cool. Microsoft is smart enough to recognize, okay, first name, last name in my list, the list that we just pulled in, is what we're going to put in the greeting line. Again, if you didn't set up your list appropriately, if your column headers don't make sense, you can go down to the correct problems box here, click on match fields, and kind of play around a little bit. So typically for this one, you're just going to be worried about these two fields here. If your first name and last name don't make any sense, you can correct that here. But we're all good. So click OK. Again, you can change the way that you want that name to appear. We're just going to leave it as a full name, so don't even bother messing with that. Oh, wait, no, never mind. There you go. And then also, if you have any blanks, Mail Merge wants to know what you want to do with those blanks. So say you have an address for somebody, you have a last year's donation, you have what you want them to donate next year, but you don't have their name. What's a generic thing we can put in here? Let's just stick with Dear Sir or Madam. Really kind of the same thing here, whether it's Dear Sir or Madam or To Whom It May Concern. This looks all good. We're going to click OK. You can see it kind of dumps in this little indicator here for greeting line with the chevrons letting us know that that's going to be populated. Okay, 2 more to go here. Thank you for your previous donation of blank. So with these, there's obviously, Mail Merge doesn't have set up an automatic way to kind of put in money or put in donation amount. So you would highlight that blank and make sure you highlight the exact area you want to put it in. And you would click on More Items. And now what pops up is essentially a list of all the column headers in our Excel list, right? So we want to go with last year's donation. You would simply just highlight last year's donation and click Insert. And just like that, you can see it's plopped down this indicator here that says, okay, last year's donation from the Excel field is going to be put into this spot of the letter. And now we're going to do the same thing for next year's donation, right? So we're hoping to continue support, increase your generosity with the donation of blank. So make sure you highlight the space you want to fill in. You click More Items here on the right. And then this is hoped donation, right? Click Insert, close, and there we go. So now we've pretty much done it, right? Like I said, if you have everything in a good format and set up well, this really isn't too difficult to process. So we're going to move on to step 5, where we're going to preview the letters, and hopefully they look all good. Okay, they kind of don't, right? There's a few things here that I don't like that I'm seeing. And if you go to the top right here, you can preview all the letters. So you have 10 different recipients, and you can kind of toggle through each of the recipients and see how their letter looks. And I see a few kind of funny things that I want to change. So for one, I think I want to put a space in between my address and the recipient's address. So I want to put a space between these two. And I can see it's duplicating the dear and it's duplicating the comma. So let's correct both of those issues. So if we go down to the bottom right and we go to the previous, write your letter, I can now fix that, right? So the first thing I mentioned is that I want the recipient's address block to be spaced down one more from mine, right? So let's go ahead and space that down one more. And then, what happened is that we included a comma in a dear, and the greeting line automatically includes a comma in a dear, right? So let's go ahead and fix that. Let's remove our comma, and let's remove the dear that we have set up. And we'll just let Mail Merge take care of that. Okay, let's go ahead and preview the letters and let's see how that looks. Okay, great. You see that? So I now have that space in between my address and the recipient's address. The duplicate dear is not there anymore, right? That looks good. The commas, just one comma, not 2 commas. That looks good and professional. We can go ahead and kind of scan the other recipients, make sure that holds true, and it always does. It should. So we're all good there. One more thing I think I want to do is there's no $ in front of these numbers. I want to go ahead and just plop down a $ in front of those. So let's go back down to the bottom right here. Previous, write your letter. And then in front of last year's donation, it's nice they have these indicators here. I'm going to put a $. And then come down here to hoped donation. I'm going to put another $. there. And let's go ahead and preview your letters. And great, that's exactly what I want it to look like. Okay. I think we're in pretty good business here. Let's check a few more recipients to make sure that it holds true for everyone. It does. It always does. Okay. Last step here. We're going to complete the merge. Before we do that, if you realize as you're kind of working through this, you want to go ahead and exclude somebody, you can click on exclude recipient, right? We had that option when we first brought in the Excel list, but you can still do it if you click on this button here for exclude this recipient. Say we realize, oh wait, Mark isn't somebody we want to send it to, you can kind of just click on exclude. But we're going to leave him in there. We're leaving everybody in there. So go down to the bottom right here, and we're going to complete the merge. And you have 2 different options, right? You can just go ahead and print it. So we're stuffing these in envelopes, so go ahead and just click print, and it's going to print out to whatever printer you have connected to your network. Or you can edit individual letters. So there's one thing that people get scared of is that if I click on this, am I going to have 10 different letters pop up? Or, in most cases, you have more than 10. Maybe you have 100 or 200. I don't want 200 different Microsoft, instances of Microsoft Word popping up. It might crash my computer. But that's not the way it works, right? If you click edit individual letters, you can go ahead and say, okay, do you want to do the current one, all of them, just, the first few? We're going to do all of them, right? We have only 10. Click OK. And what Microsoft Word does is it just makes one document that lists out all the letters. So I'm scrolling down here, and you can see how it just every page is just the next record in the Microsoft Excel list that we set up. And you can kind of just scan down here and look at all of the records that you have set up. Right? Yep. Yeah, this looks like everybody. Okay. That's it for using mail merge with a letter. Like I said, you can do it with labels just as easy. One of the cool things about using the labels too is that if you go to if you go to Office Max or Staples or one of those stores and you buy some labels, there's usually a code on the actual package that you buy, and that code is usually housed somewhere in Microsoft Word, and it formats it to fit the exact piece of paper that you're feeding into the printer. So that's a nice little bit of functionality you have with the labels. But like I said, Mail Merge is a really nice, convenient tool, help you save a lot of money. The key to being successful with it is making sure that you have a nice template letter set up and also a good, clean list of records with good, no misspellings, good headers set up here so Microsoft can recognize what you want to do with it. Okay, guys, thanks a lot. Talk to you next time.